It began earlier than normal in the village. As night gave way to dawn, people were already about on the streets. Merchants were taking up at the most heavily traveled street corners. Store owners were opening their doors for business. And children were being awakened by the sounds of barking dogs and the complaints of donkeys pulling carts. The owner of the inn was awakened earlier than normal that morning. After all, the inn was full. Every bed had been taken. Every possible mat, every available blanket had been put to use. And soon the customers would be stirring and there was a lot of work to do. One's imagination is kindled when thinking about the conversation of the innkeeper and his family at the breakfast table that morning. Did anyone mention the arrival of the couple the night before? Did anyone wonder about their welfare? Did anyone comment on the pregnancy of the young girl and the donkey? Perhaps the subject was raised, but I'm sure it wasn't discussed. There was nothing that novel about them. I mean, they were just one of possibly many families that had been turned away the night before. Besides, who had time to talk about them when there was so much excitement going on? Augustus had done a favor to the economy of Bethlehem when he had decreed that a census should be taken. Who could remember when such commerce had hit the city? No, it is doubtful that anyone mentioned the arrival of the couple or the condition of the young girl. There was just too much going on. The day was upon them. The day's bread had to be made. The morning chores had to be done. They were just too busy to imagine that the impossible had just occurred. That God had entered earth as a baby. But if someone had chanced upon that stable on the outskirts of Bethlehem that morning, what a sight they would behold. Off to the side sat a group of shepherds. They sat silently on the floor, perhaps perplexed, perhaps in awe, definitely in amazement. Their night watch had been interrupted by an explosion of light in the sky and a symphony of angels. And God comes to those who have time to hear Him. And so on that cloudless night, God came to simple shepherds. Next to the new mother is the weary father. If anyone is dozing, he is. He can't remember the last time that he sat down. But now that the excitement has subsided a bit and that mother and baby are safe and comfortable, he leans up against the wall and he feels his eyes grow heavy. He hasn't had time to figure it all out. The mystery of the event, it still puzzles him. But right now he doesn't have the energy to wrestle with the question. But what is important is that the baby is here and Mary is safe. And as sleep comes, he remembers the name that the angels gave him. Jesus. We will call him Jesus. Well, wide awake is Mary. My, how young she looks. Her head rests on the soft leather of Joseph's saddle. Her pain has been eclipsed by wonder. She stares at her baby, her son, her Lord, her majesty. And at this point in time, the human being that knows the most about who God is and what He is doing is a teenager in a smelly barn. She can't take her eyes off of him. Somehow, Mary knows that she is holding God. This is He. And she remembers the words of the angels. His kingdom will never end. And the baby looks like anything but a king. His face is prunish and red, and his cry, though healthy and strong, is still the helpless, piercing cry of an infant. He's completely dependent upon Mary for his welfare. Majesty in the midst of the mundane. Holiness in the filth of sheep manure and sweat. And divinity born into our world in the floor of a sheep stable, through the womb of a teenager, and in the presence of a carpenter. And Mary stares to the face of this infant God. How long is your journey? The rags that keep him warm are the robes of eternity. This baby has overlooked the universe. His golden throne room has been replaced by the floor of a sheep stable, and worshiping angels replaced with kind but bewildered shepherds. And the city hums on. Merchants are unaware that God has visited their planet. And the innkeeper wouldn't believe that he had turned God out into the cold. And the people would scoff at anyone that would suggest that their majesty was being held by a teenager on the outskirts of town. They were just too busy to realize what was going on. You know, the people that missed the majesty's arrival that night didn't do so because of evil acts or malice. No, they were just too busy to look at what was going on. Little has changed in the last 2,000 years, hasn't it?